Bienvenidos a Lima, Peru. Welcome to Lima, Peru. Welcome to my home and to another history session with me. Today we are going to dedicate this event to the curiosities, the historic curiosities of the Historic Center of Lima, of the downtown of the city. So it's going to be, well, very interesting, very insightful, this event. We're going to learn about facts that are not well known about the foundation of Lima, the creation of Lima. Most of this event is going to be dedicated to the colonial history of the city. So if you like this type of events, don't forget to give me a follow to stay tuned with my upcoming live events. I am doing live events once a week, more or less, and they are about history. We talk about different type of things. So, well, you are always welcome to join. Also, you can help me a lot if you give me a like during this event, so that would be super wonderful. That helps also this video to sort of like come up from many other events that are happening right now. So let me say hi to the people joining, to my amigas. Hola Marilyn, hola Natalie, thanks for coming today. I hope you are ready to learn about more history. You know, this channel is all about history. I also like to cook for you. So if you are into cooking, this is also a good place. I'm sure you're going to find Peruvian cuisine fascinating. So, by the way, don't forget to join my event of this weekend. I will be showing you how to cook garbanzos Peruvian style, chickpeas. So, hola Caitlin, thanks for coming. Gracias, amiga. So, well, I think we're going to begin with this event. Of course, I always say in the beginning that all your questions are welcome. All of your comments are welcome. If you have any question that probably you might have, because the event is going to take us in different directions in the history of Lima, please don't be shy. Share your questions here in the chat. We have an interactive chat, and also one more thing, thanks a lot to my Patreons who are helping me to create this amazing content. Patreon is a platform where people can support, donate with a monthly fee. I have different tiles for, let's say, support. So from $2 to a bit more. So if you would like to support me to create more events, well, that could be a good option. All the information is in the description of this event. Okay, so well, we're going now to begin, and let's flip the camera to the other side. So we're going to talk about the historic curiosities of downtown Lima. Downtown Lima is a very interesting site, and by the way, this is the zone of the city where I spend most of the time in, because I am an official tour guide, been guiding for many years here in my country, especially in Lima. So, well, there is where I spend most of the time, and I keep learning every day something new about just that little part of the city, because there's so much to say. Also, as always, I like to start with a quote taken by from a Peruvian writer or poet. Today's quote is from Mario Vargas Llosa, Peruvian Literature Nobel Prize. And well, this phrase in Spanish says, "La pasión por la lectura, como todos los buenos vicios, se acrecienta con el paso de los años." Passion for literature, like all good vices, Mario Vargas Llosa believes literature is a good vice, increases with the passing of the years. So we're going, of course, to find during our many upcoming sessions that definitely passion of literature, passion for literature can also open our minds to realities that we had no idea it existed. I'm so glad, Caitlin, you agree with Mario Vargas Llosa. I definitely do, for sure. So we're going now to talk about the first curiosity I hope you are also seeing everything correctly in the screen. There's a little light, bright light behind me, but because it's daytime, but I hope you can read everything correctly. So Lima, a green desert. Oh, so how is that possible? Well, Lima City is located in the central coast of Peru. We are between latitude 12 and 13 below the equator line. So we have one particularity. Oh, thanks, Natalie. Thanks for letting me know that everything is okay. So Lima lays in a desert indeed. We just have 1 cubic centimeter of rain per year. But there is one very unique thing about Lima that makes it green part of the year. And that is a very interesting phenomenon that happens in the coast of Peru, especially in the sections where the coast is narrow. And that is the phenomenon of the lomas. So the lomas is this season, which is in winter, in which we have vegetation. But this is ephemeral vegetation. This ephemeral vegetation appears on more or less June, continues July, August, and September. In September, it is gone. Right? So here you can see, for example, in the upper part, you can also make some screenshots if you want to read this information for later. That in the province of Lima, we have Lima city located in the central coast of Peru, and it is part of the province of Lima and the department of Lima, which is much bigger. About 64% of the territory of this province, where the city is located, corresponds to natural ecosystems, right? But we are compacted in a small section. So we are surrounded by hills, by the foothills of the Andes, and those foothills, every once in a while, turn green. So this is the way how Lima looks during the Lomas season. And I am planning also to take you on virtual tours to some really interesting walks in the outskirts of Lima, where we can see floras. And the reason how we can do this is because, as you can see in the distance in this picture taken from a loma not far away from the historic center of Lima, we can see this reality, which is the shanty towns of Lima, located in the outskirts of the city. That is, well, the new Lima, because it is created by incomers, by people from the Andes, from the jungle, who are coming to Lima to make the best from this city and also to be able to work, but they don't have any chance to do it in the city center, so they take sites that are desert, but they are not always desert, right? So during this short season, they live on a green oasis. So how come this happens? Well, this is because in the coast we have high humidity. That is because of the Humboldt current. Please give a look about the Humboldt current on your free time. It is really interesting to understand how important Humboldt current, which mirrors the California current in North America, how important it is for our country, for Peru. The Humboldt current creates a desert, but that is not bad, because this Humboldt current also creates an interesting, unique ecosystem. Hola, Tom. Thanks for coming. Hola, colleague. Hello, hello. Thanks for joining, amigo. Tom Guide is also a friend from Hago, a platform we used to work with together. Please follow him if you want to learn more from Krakow. And by the way, my husband is Polish, so I have a big, big love for Poland. So gracias for coming by, Tom. So you can see here, well, how beautiful this ecosystem is. And also the Humboldt current gave us a lot of fish. So Peru is a country well known internationally for its abundant, let's say, ecosystem, like diversity in the ocean. We have over 700 kinds of fish in Peru, so it's amazing. So over here you can see in the city of Lima, well, the different channels that were many of them created by ancient Peruvians who live in Lima about since 2,000 years ago until the arrival of the conquistadors. Oh, hola Dayan, thanks for joining. Buenos dias. So you can see a central section. This is the Rimac River, that is the one that gives life to this valley. And from that central river, we are or our ancient men, our ancient, let's say, ancestors, they were the ones who created the oasis where we live in, right? So without them, without their work, life in Lima for humans would have been impossible, right? But also without Rimac River, life in the city wouldn't be possible for humans, right? So thank you so much to my friends joining. We are just starting, amigos, so make yourself comfortable. We are revising the first curiosity, which is about, Lima, the green desert, right? So Lima lays on a desert, but this desert turns green part of the year because of the high humidity that trapped by the Andes mountains, by the foothills of the Andes. This humidity condenses and turns into liquid water for the, let's say, vegetation that appears, is ephemeral vegetation that disappears at the end of September. So Prehispanic men were able to adapt this green desert into a place where life for humans could be possible. And this adaptation process took a long, long time. Well, we know, of course, that these ancient societies that took Lima, they started to work in this, let's say, location, adapting it for, let's say, thousands of years. So the first cultures that were able to construct in the Valley of Lima, they were able to build temples 2,000 years ago, right? So it was a slow process of adaptation. So I have a question over here. Hola, Arlene. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. So how is spell the name of the current? Humboldt Current. So let me check if we can do, let's say, let me just check on this. I'll try to also, so let's spell it here. Humboldt. Oh, sorry, I'm missing a D. Bolt. Okay. Humboldt. Okay. So that is the Humboldt Current. Can you see it, Arlene? Can you see it? This is the name of the current. Okay. So I hope you are able. This is just in case if you wanna check more on the name of the current. Thank you, Arlene. Thanks for your question. So we're going now to erase this. And if you have any question, please, we are here with friends. So muchas gracias for that. So as I was saying, my pleasure, Arlene, my pleasure. So as I was saying, well, we have a city that was adapted to be able to receive life. It was not naturally the case for Lima, but look at how much we've been able to achieve here. This is one of the oldest cities, capital cities in the world that is still in constant use since ancient times, right? We are going now to also see in this other image something curious, that the city where nowadays I live, the city that I call home, it is crisscrossed by ancient channels made by these societies, which nowadays many of them still exist. They are underground, right? They are underground. They are used for irrigation of parks also. And they were made in the pre-Hispanic eras, okay? And also another interesting thing, well, in the pre-Hispanic eras, there were temples, very important temples, huge. They were made on mud because, you know, in Lima never rains. So it's not really a big deal for us building in mud bricks. They can last forever if the global warming doesn't hit this city, which seems that is not going to be possible for too long. But our temples made on mud bricks were also used as platforms for seeing in the distance people who were coming into the valley, also for communication between other temples and for ceremonies. So administrative purposes, organization purposes, control purposes, right? And many of these ancient temples are surrounded by houses nowadays. Many of them are like this one, for example, here on the right, still have some level of religious value because they have in them like shrines. There are virgins that are worshipped there by the local neighbors. So there is a connection between the use given in the pre-Hispanic times and the use given by the people of these days to those sites. And here we have another Huaca or pre-Hispanic temple still in a way in use, well, partially, because you already know that these temples were used as lookout places. So they are not anymore like temples for the ancient religion, but people still use them, for example, in this case, for observing the, let's say, the athletic activities that happen in this sports field, right? And we have even from the air traces of these huge, gigantic temples that used to exist in Lima. And this we can map also with technology, modern technology. But, well, of course, many of these temples are partially here, partially gone. So this is also one of those cases. This gigantic U-shaped temple located in Rimac district that is also very close to the historic center. So the first capital of Peru wasn't Lima. That's another curiosity. Most people don't know this. Even most Peruvians don't know this. We in Lima are very proud to say, oh, well, we are the capital of Peru since the coming of the conquistadors, right? That is the pride of Lima. But we are indeed a Spanish capital. We were founded by conquistadors as a capital, but we were not the first one. The first capital was located in a place, a city called Jauja. It is in the central Andes. Let's say not too far away from Lima. As you can see, the distance from Jauja and Lima is, let's say, not so huge. But the nature of Jauja, the elevation of Jauja is completely different to the one of Lima. So I have a question. I think Natalie is asking, how many districts has Lima? Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Natalie, for that question. We have 43 districts in Lima. In average, the biggest cities of Peru have 10 to max 13 districts. Lima has 43. So Lima is a monster city. It's huge, huge. And we have multiple realities in the city. Lima is like a mini Peru, a miniature Peru. Thank you, Natalie. So Jauja was supposed to be the capital of this territory. And why? Well, because it was a place that had a location very central between Cusco and the northern territories of the country that were also conquered by the Spanish. So remember that the first years after the arrival of the Spanish, there was sort of like a quest. They were on a rush to establish cities, to conquer, to take gold. So they needed a place where to settle, where to create a capital, where to regroup if there was any attack of the Incas. So Jauja came as this perfect place that had very nice climatic conditions when the Spanish went there. It was established in April 24th, 1534. So the Spanish started their expansion here, their conquest in 1532. So just 2 years after, we have Jauja created. But what happened with Jauja? Well, there was a problem. When winter strike, like Jauja during winter became very harsh. And don't forget that Jauja is over 3,000 meters above sea level. To be more exact, 3,400 meters above sea level. So the elevation was too much for many Spanish. So even nowadays, when people come to Peru, they travel with all the comforts to Cusco, with all the benefits of modern science and medicine. They get troubles of adapting to altitude. So imagine those Spanish, no? Also, another thing the Spanish mentioned is that there was also lack of wood in the region, so they couldn't, of course, lit up their bonfires, fires for warming up in their houses without the wood. So seems that this was more like an excuse, but if it was true, well, and also all the diseases that were caused by the elevation, the discomfort of people, well, those were good reasons in a way for the Spanish to relocate. And that's how Lima becomes, in fact, the second capital of Peru. So remember, the first one was Jauja, was established on 1534. Lima was established on January 18, 1535. Right? So they were not even able to be for one full year in Jauja, the Spanish, since the formal creation of the capital there, to finally decide to come to the lowlands. By the way, if you would like to help this video, help me with a like, please. That would be super fantastic. If you can give a thumbs up to this video, that would be super. It locates better, of course, this stream. So, well, yes, Arlene, it makes sense, right? So they decided to come to the coast. But there's one more reason why the Spanish came to the coast. Because in case of any siege, right, they were more like isolated. They could be sieged by Incas from all locations, from all flanks, and how they will escape. In theory, the capitals should be located more central in the land, in the territory. But, well, we have to understand the exception with Lima, because they were the first capital of South America, and this capital needed to be well located and also needed to receive like military help, reinforcement if necessary, or if there was any needs on evacuation. The Spanish needed to escape fast. That's why they located the capital close to the ocean. Okay, and this is how probably Lima looked like. So look how Lima might have looked like. But we are not completely certain of this view, of this recreation, because unfortunately the Spanish didn't left any recreations, any drawings on the looks of the capital of Lima, the city of Lima, before the coming of the Spanish. So there is a theory that says that there were temples close to the main square of the city. So in theory, this is where nowadays we have the main square of Lima, and here is where the government palace, the house of the president, is located nowadays, and over here where the cathedral is located. This is one of the theories, but not all of the historians and archaeologists agree in this, and they have very good reasons to not agree with the fact that, there is this possibility of Incan constructions in this location, the historic center. So why probably there was nothing here, not meaning exactly in the city of Lima, but maybe the constructions of the Incas were located a little bit farther away from this site. Well, the reason is because of the river. Do you see the location of the river? This is Rimac River, right? So Rimac River is too close to this supposed to be like Incan city or pre-Incan city. And you know why it's not possible, or at least we don't think that was the logic of construction of the pre-Hispanic people? Because there are times in which the river increases, and the indigenous knew this very well. They were masters in the hydraulic engineer in the pre-Hispanic times. So if you're going to build a construction, you're going to do it this close to a river that every once in a while floats. Well, that's not the logic of the pre-Hispanic people, especially in the coastal valleys. So probably the city was located in a different place, the Incan city. But archaeologists also have not been able to find traces of those ancient temples, but still we are in the search. So nothing is completely conclusive. Okay, so the foundation of Lima happened in front of the surprise indigenous of this community, of this location. They didn't know, what was going on. Many of them were very surprised with the appearance, with the looks of the Spanish, which were called also Huiracochas. Huiracocha is in the beliefs of the pre-Hispanic people were sort of like the children of the sun. They were fair skinned, they had like blonde hair, so they were considered to be superior, they were considered to be divine. Later the Spanish proved their humanity, that they were not really that special or super powerful as initially they were believed to be. So that Foundation of Lima happened on where nowadays is the main square of the city, as I said before, January 18, 1535. The name of Lima was Ciudad de los Reyes, City of Kings. And the reason is because the date when Francisco Pizarro sent a group of scouts to search for a good location where to establish the city. So Pizarro didn't know yet about this location, but he sent a group of 3 scouts to look for a good place to establish the city. Was on January the 6th. January the 6th in the calendar of the Catholic faith is the date of the celebration of the Magi Kings, right? So, this event is connected, of course, with a miracle, as Pizarro believed. The Magi Kings favor because of the date of the Epiphany, the celebration of the Epiphany, in the finding of Lima. Okay, so the Ciudad de los Reyes, the City of Kings, is the name given to Lima originally. So from where the word Lima comes from? Well, Lima, it is believed that is a deformation, or a misspelling, a mispronunciation of the name of the river, and therefore also the name of the local oracle. The name of the river is Rimac. Rimac comes from the Quechua word rimay, which means to speak. So the name of the oracle was Rimac, the one who speaks. Also, and seems that the river was associated with the oracle. So Lima is a mispronunciation of the name of the river, the name probably of the valley, and the name of the oracle, Rimac. But when the Spanish came, they of course preferred the Castilian names, the City of Kings, Ciudad de los Reyes, named after the Epiphany and the three kings who followed the Star of Bethlehem. So that's why the shield of Lima, the coat of arms of Lima, has 3 crowns and 1 star. And you can also read this line, let's say this phrase in Latin, hoc signum vere regium est. This is the true sign of the kings. We also have 2 eagles corresponding to the Habsburg dynasty, the ones who rule the territories of the Hispanic Americas, the kings of Spain, and also the letters, the I and the K are connected with the names of the kings, the ruling kings. We have Joanna the First of Castile and Charles V. Okay. Also, just to let you know who was Charles V, Carlos V over here. And Joanna is the mother of Carlos, okay, Juana. So we can see her here, Juana, right? And the grandparents of Charles V, Carlos V, were, of course, Isabel la Católica and Fernando. They were the ones who favor Columbus in the exploration of the New World, the Indias, as they believed they were going to India, but they came to America. So another curiosity, the wall of Lima. Lima had a wall. Yes, Lima, like the medieval cities of Europe, had a wall that was approximately 13 kilometers length. Hola Marilu, thanks for joining. And this wall was made to protect Lima from possible attacks of indigenous. There was a constant fear for, indigenous attacks. Also, there was a fear of attacks of runaway slaves, because there was slavery in Peru, not indigenous slavery, African slavery, and there were lots of Africans, mainly from Angola, who were taken to the Americas and to Peru in the longest trip you could imagine, because for the slaves, traveling to Brazil was a much shorter trip than going, from Africa all the way across the Atlantic, the Caribbean, then walking on the feet, crossing the Isthmus of Panama, going to the other side, taking another ship, and coming here to Lima in the last leg of the trip, a trip that might take in some cases up to 6 months. So once here, they were put in slavery to work in plantations, but there were also many runaways. So there was a fear of attack of Lima, because Lima was small indeed, right? So this wall of Lima was made also to protect the city from attacks of pirates, piratas, as we call them in Spanish, pirates, privateers, who came even to this territory this far away from the Caribbean. They also came to the Pacific. But there was a problem also with the wall. The wall gave us a lot of benefits, right? Protection. A wall that was made from mud bricks. So remember, Lima is a city where never rains almost. We just have 1 cubic centimeter of rain in the city. So rain was not a problem for the mud constructions. It was easy to build using mud bricks. It was fast also. So that's why in the construction of the walls, we're talking about the late 17th century, people who could pay for the wall, they paid. People who couldn't, they work on the construction of the wall. People who were owners of slaves, they put them to work on the construction of the wall. That's why the wall was finished in a couple of years only. But inside Lima, well, there was an increasing problem that was becoming really, like, by the passing of the years, like a disastrous, no, terrible. Well, the sewers of the city, the open sewers of the city, plus the walls, and also the increasing number of people living in Lima throwing garbage every day out to the sewers, right? It became a terrible problem for the health of the Limanians. So Lima was, back in those days of the walls between, the 17th century, 18th century, 19th century, finally the walls were took down around the year 1872. Lima was a bomb of, like smells and diseases, right? A time bomb. So that's why, like in London and in Paris also, people of Lima experience lots of diseases. So that's one of the reasons, no, number one, that the walls of Lima had to be destroyed. But also, before the destruction of the walls, this is Lima nowadays, and where the walls should have been, right? In Lima, should be now in Lima. But also, that's the reason of the creation of beach resorts in Lima, like Barranco, Chorrillos, Miraflores. I take you regularly on virtual tours to those places to learn about the history of these fabulous beach resorts, where only the rich could spend some, 2 months during the summer, the worst time in the year to be in the historic center of Lima back then, because of the humidity, the smells. Well, they were the only ones who could afford such trips, right? And having a house also there, so far away from the historic center. So, well, very curious, of course, seeing where the walls should be and how Lima should look with its walls. You can see Rimac River up here, right? And the wall went all around, like bordering the river, right? And nowadays we have many important avenues who were created following the line of the walls, right? Also, we had sort of like bastions to look out the city. There were over 30 of them, and we had 9 gates. So those gates were used to control the influx of people. So many historians believe that the walls of Lima were not for protection. Like, if they were for protection, they would have also like a dig down, like a opening for water around that it never had. Medieval cities had that. They were made probably in a different material instead of mud bricks. But the control of the population and taxes was complete, right? So it was very important for controlling of taxes, okay? So the Baluarte de Santa Lucia is the only, let's say, bastion that we have, towel lookout point that we have, still existing from the old walls of Lima. Unfortunately, is located, let me just go backwards, is located in this section, which is unfortunately known as a very dangerous part of Lima. So tourism in that section in this moment is not possible. It is located there and preserved because right next to it is the first cemetery of Lima, first modern cemetery of Lima. So that's also the reason why it was preserved. And there is another section that still exists, which corresponds to this part over here. And let me show you the image. Just give me a second. And it's this one here. This is the Parque de la Muralla. Parque de la Muralla is within the historic center. You can walk there also from the main square of Lima. It's just a couple of blocks away. And there you can see traces of the original wall, which is what you're seeing there in the image. But that wall was not made like the rest of the wall of the city. Why? Simple. Because we have the river over here. So every time the water overflowed over there, it was necessary, of course, to make a material to make it from a material that will be more resisting, waterproof, and that's why it was made from a material called cal y canto, so stone, a cement-like material made from water, sand, pebbles, limestone, and just a superficial part of mud bricks. So that is the tajamar. Tajamar is the part of the wall that is the closest to the river. The first slave market of Lima. The first slave market of Lima was located outside a church. Many people have no idea something like this could have happened in the city. But well, that is, of course, something connected with the history of the Catholic Church in this territory. The church owned the biggest number of slaves. There was no other like individual or let's say military group that own as much of slaves as the church. But also many of the religious orders offer certain level of protection to the slaves, more than particulars, right? So the first slave market of Lima was located outside the Church of the Franciscans. And this church is famous because, most tourists go there to see the church, which now unfortunately is under renovations in the external part. They will take long, these renovations. But this is the way how the church looked like in the colonial times. You can imagine there in that open plaza in front of the church of the Franciscans, the market of slaves. And the highest bidder winning the slaves there. So also that was a regular market. There were groceries, food of different kinds, meat that was sold there. The first market of Lima was in the main square of the city. So this was the second market of Lima and the first slaves market of Lima. When you come to this place to see the church nowadays as a tourist, of course, the first attraction you would like to see is the catacombs. This is the famous convent of the Franciscans, home of the first public cemetery of Lima, the catacombs of St. Francis. So here you can see an image of how it looks inside. It probably gives you a flashback to the catacombs of Paris, and they are not as huge as the Paris catacombs, of course, but we know there is an underground route that is now closed of pavilions and corridors that used to interconnect churches in these ancient times, in these colonial times. These churches were interconnected probably as a way of escape in case of any persecution. Remember that during the times of wars and battles within, the cities, there was chaos. So people ran away in direction to the churches. They tried to find refuge, protection in churches. And those catacombs were usually used as escape ways to go from one church to another church. So that's the way how this place looks like nowadays. It is really fascinating to come here. And of course, you have a lot to discover in this place, right? So we are almost coming to the end of this part one. This is part one of Curiosities of Lima. I hope you found it very interesting. Let me flip the camera on my direction. There is more things we're going to be discussing soon in a part two about curiosities related with Lima. For example, we're going to talk about the wooden balconies of the Historic Center of Lima and what is their connection with the Arab tradition. Also, the tapada limeña, the veiled women of Lima. We're going to be discussing more of these curiosities in a next chapter of this event in a part two. I would also would like to thank all of my friends who were able to come today to see this event. If you were not able to come in the beginning, let me tell you that there is a way also to see full replays of not just this event, also my last live tours that are all about history is by becoming a supporter on Patreon. You can choose any tile. You can support from $2. There is also another $5, $10, and $20, and you will be able to get complete access to all of my events, which are not going to be posted on YouTube. They go to that video library, so you can see them as many times as you wish. And also, well, by becoming my Patreon, you can also help me to continue create events. If you cannot become a patron, but you still would like to support, you can do it on PayPal. And if you also help me with any donation on PayPal, any amount, I will give you as an exchange, as a way to say thanks to you, the link to replay this event of today as many times as you wish. So that is going also to allow you to see this event. And in any other occasion, also, if you want to donate, you can ask me which event you want me to send to you, and I will be, of course, immediately sending this link to you. This is a way I'm trying to find to continue creating events for you all. And well, you know, there's a lot of investigation put on these events, so well, to make them possible for me to continue creating, your donations are very, very important. Thank you so much to my friends who are supporting me with PayPal and Patreon. Many of them are here today. There will be also many seeing this event recorded. And well, one last thing, you already know that I'll be cooking also this weekend in 2 days. I'm going to be also showing more of history lectures, but our very, very first trip outside Lima is going to happen on the 16th of this month. I'm going to take you to Ayacucho. It's going to be an amazing, amazing trip. So it's pretty much an adventure. I'm planning already at least one event, but we will see how connection is, because we're going to the highest Andes. So it's going to be incredible. It is a place that, well, it has a lot of history, so we're going to travel together. And well, you, my dear supporters, made it possible. So I hope you come with me. Please check on the list of events that are already posted. Also, I'm seeing my friends are commenting. Thank you, Caitlin. Muchas gracias. Not a cooking fan, but oh yes, please come. Maybe you're going to find Peruvian food so interesting, Natalie, that you're going to even, go to the kitchen and start singing la 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 and cook with me. Who knows? So we're going to bring lots of interesting content every week for you all, with just the wish of showing you Peru, like the real Peru, not just the touristic version of my country. I want to share with you the real Peru. So thank you so much, amigos. Have a lovely, lovely rest of the day. Thanks for coming. Thanks for taking a little bit of your time and sharing it with me. And see you in a couple of days or next week for another history lecture. So take care. Gracias. Besos. Bye-bye. Hasta pronto. See you.